Hey, this is just a quick look at the new model-driven AI assist for elements on structured prompt. We added this to our prompt builder a couple of weeks ago on AI assist. Now it's available for models or for elements, and elements are basically prompt parts that you can use again and again. So if I click on Add with AI assist on my element screen, these are the predefined elements that I have available. So task, role, audience, create, intent, which are all Tracy parameters. There's also steps and variables and settings at this point, and we'll add more element models as we move forward. And you can build your own too. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But if I wanted to add a role, for example, I click on Build with AI Assist. I'm just going to call this role Accountant. And down in the Please Describe Role or Persona field, I'll just paste in the word Accountant again and hit Submit. Okay, so that generated this accountant role for me, and if I unfold it, the role is accountant, and then it gives me about 20 attributes that accountants have in common. And I can edit this if I want to. At this point, I can go in and tweak those attributes, add my own, or remove attributes that I don't need. And then moving forward, this accountant role that I just created under Elements will be available to me when I create a prompt. So if I go over to AI Assist models now, before it was all prompt models, now we have element models available. So if I wanted to duplicate one of these existing models and make it my own, I can do that. So I could say, I'll just duplicate this role to my models. And now I have my own copy of that role that I can go in and edit, and kind of make mine. So if I edit this model template, I'm going to change the name to persona instead of role. And I'll just change the parameter name also to persona. And I'll change the role rules to persona rules. And down here we have some additional instructions that tells it the intent of the prompt is to create and describe an act as role based on the user input. So that's going to remain unchanged. It lists at least 20 role rules based on the user input. So I'm just going to change that to persona rules. And I can add one or more tags, which helps me keep track of things. I'm just going to give this the role tag because it is basically a role still. But we've kind of changed the format to use persona here. And looking at the rest of it, so this is basically an example. So the persona is a first grade teacher in this case, and the persona rules lists 20 attributes of a first grade teacher. So as you build these, of course, ChatGPT is a great resource for going out and gathering these attributes, but the idea is to create a model that basically passes an example of what you want, and then when we run AI Assist, it recasts that example in light of the user request. So I'm going to save this persona, and now I have a new AI Assist model called persona in my model. So if I go out to Elements again and run Add with AI Assist, here's my persona out there. I can just build that. I'll just try CPA in the US or something like that. Make it slightly different from accountant. And hit submit. And again, this time I'm running my persona prompt. Okay, so that did its thing, and if I unfold this, so basically the difference is instead of role and role rules, we have persona and persona rules in this case. So we slightly modified the existing template, but that's something, if your prompt structure requires a persona and not a role, then you could fold this directly into your prompt structure. The last thing I want to do is go back to AI Assist models and element models, and we'll just quickly build an element model from scratch. So I'll click on the blue Add an AI Assist element model button up here, and this builds an AI Assist model, but it doesn't use AI Assist, so you have to build this thing from scratch. So I'm going to create a new element model called item, which is basically a thing. And in the description, I'll put can be anything. For the user input field, this is the question that the user is asked on the generate element screen. We'll ask what item would you like to describe, and we can put some more details for the user below that. We'll just say be as general or specific as you like. Okay, so next we'll define our example, and our parameter name for the top level parameter, which is level 0, is going to be item. And in this case, the parameter example is dandelion. So I chose that because we want something pretty specific. If we say flower, it's going to give a bunch of vague descriptions that all flowers have in common. So we want something kind of unique and specific. So I chose dandelion in this case. I'll add another parameter. This one is going to be basically the rules that pertain to a dandelion. So I'm going to call this item description, and I want those rules to be nested below my item. So my item's on level 0. I'm going to make my description on level 1, and then parameter examples. And I asked ChatGPT for a list of descriptors relating to a dandelion. So here are 20 items that are kind of unique to dandelions and that describe them. And so there's our example. So item is dandelion, item description are these 20 things. Finally, the last thing we're going to do is down under additional instructions. I'm going to paste these in. So I have a couple of instructions. List the item name under the item and 20 attributes that describe the item under item attributes based on the user input. The intent of this prompt is to describe an item provided in the user input. If the user input is vague or unclear, take a deep breath and try to determine what the user wants based on the user input. And that keeps it from, a lot of times if you put in something very vague, even like accountant, like we did in our earlier example, if this line isn't there, it'll just kind of give up easily and not return any rules or very few rules. So this kind of forces it to think a little bit and consider what the user might want. So the last thing I'll do is under element tags. I really don't have one related to, I'll call it variables and settings, just so I can be able to find it moving forward. And I can also, we have some, like group tags and things like that. So those are for you to use however you want. So if I'm, working on a bunch of things and I grouped them together as group 3, you can tag it that way too. So I'm going to submit this and save my new item. And this is a model that is available now under element models. And so if I go out to my element screen and I click on AI, add with AI assist, click my item. And so, name of the element, brief description just as before, and then what item would you like to describe, and be as general or specific as you like. Those were the parameters that we added, as part of our model when we created that model. And you'll see that the element tags that we defined are already populated in here. So let's do, we'll do a 21 speed mountain bike as the name of our element, and I'll also use that to describe what we're going to create, and I'll submit that. And I'm pausing here after I click submit. It takes about 15 seconds, but so it created our 21 speed mountain bike element, and so here it is. So instead of describing a dandelion, it took that dandelion example and applied it to a 21 speed mountain bike, and came up with these approximately 20 attributes. So I can use that again and again in my prompts. So that's it. So at this point, this is live on the structured prompt beta site and ready to use today.